Northwest Liberty News, picking the lock on the shackles of tyranny.
Machines are going to fail, and the system's going to fail.
The past is past, the future's now.
Don't look at me. I think these people are completely nuts.
Sometimes trouble just follows a man.
There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus.
Can't you stop your lips from flapping for 2 little minutes?
It's because I'm white.
I'm a man. I'm sensitive. I need to feel loved. I need to be desired.
I'm rapidly becoming a big underground success in this town.
Well, it's a question of methods. Everybody wants results, but nobody wants to do what they have to do to get them done.
And now, coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana, brought to you by Northwest Liberty News, it's Montana Gazette Radio with your host, James White. Okay, this is Montana Gazette Radio. I'm your host, James White. Thanks so much for joining me here today on this, I guess it's the 11th day of March, 2021. And we are coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana. Let me make sure that my audio levels on my microphone are good. Looks like they're good. If everything's working properly, we should be simulcasting on multiple platforms here. A couple of Facebook pages, a couple of YouTube channels, Twitch, Periscope, Podbean, and others. So thanks so much thanks so much for tuning in to the show. I'll tell you, I'm a little bit puzzled by what's going on here in this country, as I'm sure we all are. It appears that that the lunatics are running the asylum, handing out money like it's going out of style. I don't understand how we're ever going to be able to recover from the deficits that are being racked up. And as a matter of fact, I should bring up I think I will. Let me bring up this website here. Give me a second here and I'll pull this up. I'm not sure if anyone's visited this website. See if I can bring it up here and bring it on the screen so we can get an idea of what's going on here. Okay, I guess I typed the wrong thing in. I think, yeah, I did. So we're going to look at the debt. If you've ever been to the usdebtclock.org, usdebtclock.org website, if you haven't been there. But I tell you need to spend some time on that website. And here let's bring it up here. There we go. There's the usdebtclock.org website. And again, if you're not familiar with it, you can just type in usdebtclock.org. usdebtclock.org. You see it at the top there. And what that will do is that will bring it to this page right here. And you can see how fast the national debt, that's 28 trillion, by the way, 38 billion, 520 million. And these numbers are going so fast that you can't even really say it. I didn't even know what to say. Each individual person, somewhere it says on here, each person is responsible for, there you go, the unfunded liabilities. And unfunded liabilities means promises that we have that we don't have funds for. Each one of these, it looks like each per citizen, it's $483,616 is what I believe that each one of us. I think you're born with that debt. I think you're born with personal debt per person here. I mean, it's out of hand. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how much debt we have, and this is going to be passed on to our posterity to somehow be able to recover from that. And I just don't, folks. You can't repay something that you can't repay. I don't know how they're going to repay this. I don't know if it's probably not going to be possible. I'm not a financial wizard, nor do I claim to be one. But I know that $28 trillion, and it's moving by so fast you can't even put a number on it. I know $28 trillion is a lot of dough. A lot of dough for a country of 330 million or so people. That seems like a lot. But it's not going to stop. It's just not going to stop. I mean, It's fiat currency. I mean, if you haven't had a chance to read, and I just talked to Ed last week, I should really have him on the show again. I've interviewed him several times. Great guy. If you haven't if you haven't read the book Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin, it's a college education on the Federal Reserve, money printing, and the whole entire scam. That the fiat currency system is comprised of. This is something they don't teach you in schools, folks. They don't teach you these things. They don't teach you the fact that we have, the way that the money supply should increase is if there's a manufacturing base behind it that makes it necessary for them, to increase. I mean, people are making millions and millions of dollars and becoming millions and billionaires and not really producing anything. They don't produce anything. I mean, they just don't. Especially people in the stock market. It's a total casino. Total crookery. So, that being said, there's other shows. I've done other shows on that many times, and I still have to. It keeps popping in my head. I really need to do another show. I don't know if I'll do it on this format. Maybe I may do it on one of my other channels. But I'd like to talk about the trauma-based mind control that we've been under here for quite some time, and that's how they operate. That's how they control us through trauma-based mind control. MK Ultra, Project Monarch. I mean, they've been doing this stuff for a long time. Dr. Ewan Cameron was one of the people that were leading the tip of the spear and that type of experimentation on people. And oddly enough, this Ewan Cameron was the guy that was in charge of Tim McVeigh after he was accused of the Oklahoma City bombing, which we've done stories on that as well. Everything we're being told about that is not true, of course, especially when you got news reports where they've removed a fourth bomb from inside the building. How did Tim McVeigh pull his truck up to the front of the place and then get all kinds of 3 or 4 different bombs inside the building? He didn't. That's the answer to that. He didn't. There was a real big push for the quote unquote militia, I suppose you want to call it. I mean, there is such thing as a constitutional militia. As a matter of fact, that's really the foundation of the militia is the Constitution. But there was breakaway militia movements that were popping up all across the country, Michigan militia and others. Certainly places like Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and other areas, even here in Montana. You guys remember the Freemen, I'm sure. I forget what city that was in. But the whole concept of standing up to the government and fighting the tyranny became real popular, and people started really coming together. So what did they have to do? They had to pull off a false flag, in my view, that demonized the militia movement, and you couldn't even say the word militia for like 15 years. You couldn't even utter the word. Or you were ostracized and you were an anti-American. The way that they've been able to utilize the media and other outlets to totally capture this society. I mean, I have to say, sometimes I'm amazed at just how effective they have been. And of course, this goes back to the work. I just came across this book. I was looking for a book just a couple of days ago. I couldn't find it, but I came across my copy of Propaganda by Edward Bernays. It's not a very thick book. You can probably read it in a few hours, but I would suggest that you pick up a copy of Propaganda by Edward Bernays, and you will get a pretty good idea. You won't have all the insides on everything, but you'll get a very nice overview of the type of scientific manipulation that has been perpetrated upon the population for decades and decades now. I think it was in the 40s or something, I believe, is when Bernays was real popular. He's, I believe, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, if I remember correctly. And I argue he's arguably, no one has had much more of an influence on modern American culture than Edward Bernays. He's way up there. He may not be the top dog, but he's way up there as far as people that have influenced society in recent history. No doubt about it. And I should bring a copy of that book in. Remember, I'll bring it in. It's not hard to find. Just Edward Bernays. I don't even know how you spell his last name, but if you just put in propaganda book or something like that, you'll find it. And it's not very much. $6-7 maybe, $10 at the most. And I said you can read it in a couple hours. But that's how you defeat tyranny, folks. You find out what their game plan is, and become as educated on it as you can, and then you counterbalance that with liberty, because what they're trying to practice is tyranny, and the remedy to tyranny is liberty, and that's just the way it is, liberty and freedom, and if you don't fight for that, then it'll be taken from you, as you can see it already has been with the mask mandate. There's some updates on that mask mandate. Brenda Roscoe, who writes articles for us and helps us with social media on Montana Daily Gazette. She's put an article out here, and I have to edit it and throw it up. That has some updates. She has some really nice photos, and she, I believe, has a video of one of the students there at the rally. But that's been some of the big news that's happened here recently in Montana is the students standing up and really having their voices be heard, and not, this is something you can't stop, folks. No army can stop an idea whose time has come. I believe that was a quote by Lord Acton, I think. But the fact of the matter is, the whole awakening and the whole desire for people to be free and to break the chains of tyranny that have been upon us, and the very small group of people that have been able to control the masses for generations and generations and generations. This is becoming exposed now, right? The truth is out. Not the full truth, and not everybody knows the truth, but the truth is out there and available for people to find more than ever. Now, that's juxtaposed against the hardcore censorship that is being put in place by the big tech companies. And we've covered that article here. We've covered that story here numerous times on this radio show, and posted articles on the Montana Daily Gazette about the legislation that is potentially, hopefully gets brought back up by Senator Teresa Manzella to be able to put big tech in their place so they can stop censoring, so they'll at least have some penalties, financial penalties, fees and fines for not following a court order to put people's channels back and stop censoring them. So they're not going to stop on their own. You see, that's what people have to understand. Doing nothing will not solve anything for anyone. If you just think, well, let somebody else take care of it. And that's the reason that we're in the problems that we have right now, folks, is because so many people's mentality has been, somebody will take care of it. That's why I pay my taxes. So somebody else will take care of this for me, so I can go on the boat, and I can vacation, and I can go to sporting events, and I can go to the bar on the weekends and hang out with my friends. I pay taxes so someone else will take care of that for me, right? No, that's not really the good mentality to have. That's not, you can never entrust your liberties in the hands of others. Now, that doesn't mean that every single person needs to be in office, is something I'm saying. Certainly, there has to be elected representatives that represent us, because we all can't be in these places at the same time, as we know this, logistically speaking. That being said, the people that we elect in there, we have to constantly monitor them and make sure, remember, they represent you and I. They represent us. Right? What they do has a direct reflection upon, their constituents, because we're the ones that apparently, if you believe the voting system isn't rigged, we're the ones that voted them in. We're the ones that said, okay, we can't all be there. We're going to elect you to speak for us in Helena or wherever your capital is. We elected you to do that for us because we can't all be there. So we all got together and voted and thought you were the best person to go there and represent all of us. Okay, that's really what's going on. You know this, right? It's not just, I mean, that is technically, they're there representing you, right? Your district, your Senate district, your House district, however you break it down. So they are beholden to the people that voted for them and the people in their district. So make them accountable to that, right? If you know human nature, if you don't hold people accountable to things, the chances of them holding themselves accountable, generally speaking, is not good, right? Most people don't do the right thing. They don't. Most people don't do the right thing. The option to do the right thing is there often, but not a lot of people choose that, sadly. But this is, again, the world that we're living in. Not much we can do about that, except you can work on yourself and make yourself a good example to others, because you can't change other. We don't want to live in a time where you can tell other people what to do. No one wants that. All you can do is you can work on yourself and make yourself a better person, and in whatever way that you think that's, that whatever avenue you choose to do that, whether it's being more prayerful, whether it's being more giving more money to charity, whether it's volunteering at the local homeless shelter, whatever it is. That's who you can really be responsible for, is you. You can mad at other people and they act certain ways and they don't vote the way you want them to. There's nothing you can really do about that except vote them out. In the meantime, you can work on yourself and put your house in order, as they say, and hopefully your good example will rub off on others, and you'll be able to affect the change that way. Otherwise, I mean, what else are we going to do? Our choices are kind of limited. If we want to live in a place where people are free to do what they want to do, we have to allow them to do that, as long as they don't harm others, of course. So this is what we face here. We're in a crossroads in this nation, and we have an opportunity to turn things around. We'll never be more awake, I think, than we are right now as a collective. But that's going to take action. I'm going to take a quick commercial break here. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to go over some of the specific bills that are going to be coming up here soon in the Montana legislature. And there've been some great work done. There's been some great work done by Edna Kent over there at Montanans for Limited Government, and we're using her research and her updates that she sends out. We're using that as a reference. So Montanans for Limited Government do a fine job over there, for sure. More than a fine job, they do a great job. They do a lot more than most. And if everybody could do the work that Montanans for Limited Government does, we could take this country back in about 3 days. But again, that's our quest, right? To wake people up and to get them to be active. We're going to take a quick commercial break and come back on the other side. We're going to go over some of these specific bills here and much more. I'm your host, James White. If you want to support us, you can go to montanagazetteradio.com, montanagazetteradio.com, or montanadailygazette.com. As always, you can go to the flagship northwestlibertynews.com. Be back in a couple minutes after these brief commercial messages. If you like classic cars, exceptional service, and a money-back guarantee, then the Corner Shop in beautiful downtown Kalispell is the place for you. Whether it's an oil change, engine diagnostic, suspension work, or brakes all around, the Corner Shop has you covered. With expert technicians and a free consultation on all services, you can't go wrong with the Corner Shop. Did I mention the classic cars? While you're waiting for your expert service to be performed, take a stroll through the showroom to see Kalispell's smoothest collection of classic cars. The Corner Shop is conveniently located at 1212 South Main, just south of the courthouse. The Corner Shop is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., so drop by for an appointment or call 755-7777. That's 755-7777. The Corner Shop, Kalispell's full-service auto repair facility. Hi, this video is brought to you by PatriotPrepared.com, where right now you can save $250 on each large package purchase, plus get free shipping to the continental United States. In these troubled times, it's not a bad idea to have some extra food storage available, and you can save big at Patriot Prepared right now. Go to patriotprepared.com. That's patriotprepared.com, and use the code TRUMP250 at checkout to receive your savings today. Okay, folks, thanks for hanging on after the break. I'm your host, James White. This is Montana Gazette Radio. And if you want to support this program, you can do so by supporting our sponsors. If you're in the Kalispell area or anywhere in the Flathead Valley and you're looking for car repairs, go down and go visit Dan Korn there at the corner shop. I know Dan. He's a really good guy, and he's worked on my cars many times. That's for sure. Unfortunately, as a matter of fact, I have to take one of my cars into him to have him take a look at it as soon as I can. So check it out at the corner shop down there right in downtown Kalispell, right by the courthouse. And also, if you haven't got your food preps yet, and I just want to say there's another. If you're watching this show, there's another food company out there that has a similar name to Patriot Prepared, and I keep getting emails saying I bought a backpack and no one's delivered it, and they send me the emails, and I try to respond back to as many people as I can and let them know I'm not that company. I don't even sell backpacks. I don't sell backpacks for like $49, I think is what it is. They say I bought a backpack for $49 and I haven't delivered it. I don't even sell backpacks for $49. They don't even have that on my website. So if you're listening and this message gets out to you, I'm not the guy that's not delivering the goods. It's somebody else. So just keep that in mind. PatriotPrepared.com, PatriotPrepared.com for all your storable food, water filtration, seeds. Big time. We have some great seeds, some heirloom seeds there. Really tons of them, like 5,000 seeds, I think. I don't remember. I haven't checked it recently. But you can, all that stuff, all those purchases on Patriot Prepared help support this independent news network. Okay, so we are going to, we're going to talk about these we're going to do a legislative update and talk about some of these bills here that are coming up soon that we need to be active on. And that's the way that this, and I had Teresa Manzella on the show last week, I think, and we were talking about how you can zoom in to the legislative updates. You can go to the website. You can, if you register a day in advance, you can zoom in the next day and be there for the hearing. However, as she stated, and that I knew, showing up personally is way more impactful than showing up on Zoom. If you can't show up, in Helena, understandable. I mean, that's a long way away for some people. If you can, that would be the preferred method, is to show up in person, and so they can see a real live person there standing in front of them at the hearing. Otherwise, you can certainly Zoom in, or you can send letters, emails, messages, that type of thing. Remember, folks, this is your government. They represent you. They represent me. They represent all of us. So we need to hold them accountable for their campaign promises. And these are just words, right? People use a lot of words. They use a lot of words to trick people and to continue the con. But action certainly is important. And there's been a lot of legislators that have taken action this legislative session, and we applaud them for that. Okay, so let's go over here and talk about some of these bills here. We'll just roll through them here. There's 4 or 5 of them. There's a couple of federal bills that we can look at here, but let's get over to the website. Okay, again, we want to thank Montanans for Limited Government and Edna Kent for her work on this. Now, she didn't write all this stuff up. I mean, of course, this was written internally, but she's the one that sent the emails out to point me and others to these bills that need action. So again, we thank her for her work. So this is SB 277, Senate Bill 277, an act generally revising laws related to states' rights, requiring a review of presidential executive orders by the Attorney General under certain circumstances, and providing that the state, a political subdivision, or an organization receiving public funds from the state may not implement an executive order relating to certain subjects that the Attorney General determines to be unconstitutional. What this basically is a nullification bill, the way I'm reading it, It's a nullification bill that nullifies executive orders that are enacted here in Montana. And if you receive any if you receive any public funds from the state, you may not implement an executive order if the Attorney General deems it to be unconstitutional. Now, the good news with that is we have an Attorney General here in Montana now, Austin Knudsen, who is a constitutional guy, who is the law and order guy, who doesn't like criminals and people that perpetrate crimes. He doesn't like them at all, to say the least. And that's good. That's a good thing. So if Austin Knudsen and his department and his offices, the Attorney General's office, review the executive orders and deem them to be unconstitutional, then I would suggest to you that they're not going to be implemented in the state, which is a good thing, folks. We really, we understand that the federal government is out of control. So we need to safeguard the citizens of Montana against federal government overreach. And I applaud the authors of this bill, SB 277, for trying to do that very thing. So we ask you to support SB 277. You can just go to the LEG, it's up here, leg.mt.gov. Again, leg.mt.gov. I'm going to put it in the chat room here on the YouTube channel. You can go here to leg.mt.gov, and you can log into that website. You can find the bills, and you can make comments on them. You can, as I said, you can sign up to do a Zoom meeting. So this is how we take our country back. Is all of us have to be active. Right? That is, I think it's apparent now, right? We understand, we can see that the people that we elect, our so-called representatives, don't represent us. They represent lobbyists, they represent big business, they represent special interests. They don't really care what the individual person generally, I mean, some do, but overall, they don't care. They just don't. Okay, so let's look at the next one here. Again, this is great. This is probably something that was, I imagine, Gary Marbett probably had his hand in this. He's done a lot of great work and authored a lot of great legislation, especially Second Amendment stuff, because that's his wheelhouse. This is House Bill 258. House Bill 258, introduced by Jedediah Hinkle and others. A lot of folks signed behind this. This is good. Anytime you see all these people behind the bill, anytime you see all these names behind it, you realize it's probably a really good bill, and it's a liberty bill. A lot of these are liberty representatives here, and that's a good thing. Okay, so let's see what this says here. I wonder why this is not centered. This is a bill, an act prohibiting the enforcement of a federal ban on or regulation of firearms, magazines, ammunition components, or firearm accessories, and providing an immediate effective date and a retroactive applicability date. So this is a prohibiting the enforcement inside Montana, prohibiting the enforcement of any federal gun laws that include firearms, magazines, ammunition components, or firearm accessories. That is HB 258. It bans, it prohibits enforcing it, meaning that your local law enforcement authorities have no authority to be able to enforce a federal gun ban. Now, can the feds do that? Sure, but they're not going to be able to get the assistance of the local PD or sheriff's department if this law goes into effect. Is from what I would suggest. I haven't read the law. I haven't talked to any of these people about this specifically, but that's what it looks like to me. Next one. This is HB 436. HB 436 introduced, and just to amend my previous comment, just because a bill doesn't have a whole lot of people behind it doesn't mean it's not still a good bill. I didn't mean to imply that. If I did, I'm just saying the ones that you see that have 37 legislators behind it, or 25 people signing up to it, it's I'm sure it's a pro-liberty, pro-constitution bill, generally speaking, that is of great importance. And again, not that these other ones are not. Okay, this is HB 436. This is an act revising weapons laws, providing that the carrying of a concealed weapon in a publicly owned and occupied building may not be limited by local government, removing the penalty for carrying a concealed weapon in a prohibited place. Now, where do you think that more mass shooting gun crimes occur? A little quiz here for the folks. If you had to take a guess, where do you think the most mass shooting and mass death gun crimes occur? Anybody? Anybody have a guess? Gun-free zones. That's right. Gun-free zones. Just look it up. Look back at the mass shootings that have occurred. All the mass shootings that have had all of the public, all of the press coverage, all of the propaganda surrounding it, all of the mainstream media manipulation of facts, all that has occurred in gun-free zones where you're not supposed to carry a gun. Think about it for a second, folks. If you are a person that looks to do others harm, and you're one of these people that want to be involved for whatever reasons, maybe you want to be known historically as some infamous figure, who knows what the motivation behind these people are. But if you have bad intentions and mass shootings in mind, what other place do you think these people are going to go to than a gun-free zone where they know that no one's carrying a gun? The last thing a criminal really wants that's trying to perpetrate these kind of crimes is someone else pulling a gun out on them and pointing the barrel at their head. Oh no, they don't want that. They don't want that. They want to be able to just arbitrarily, unload clip upon clip on these defenseless, the defenseless people that are in the proximity. That's what they want to do, because they're cowards. That's why they're cowards. So when people stand up to these cowards, they oftentimes fold like a cheap suit. So when you have a guns-free zone, what you're doing is you're inviting these malcontents to come in and perpetrate crimes on an unsuspecting population, because no one there hardly, what do you think the chances are you're going to be walking along and someone's going to start mass shooting and a cop's just going to come out of the alley and start, and take them down? Has it happened? Sure, probably. But the chances of a cop or a law enforcement officer being there on the spot when someone's trying to shoot you is pretty slim. Slim and none, and slim just left town, as they say. So this is why it's so important for you to have the ability to protect yourself in all locations, in all places. And another thing that people have to understand, registered lawful gun owners, people that have been trained in firearms, they don't go out. They're not the ones that are behind any of these mass shootings and these cullings of innocent bystanders. They don't do this. This is not the way that they roll. They don't play that way. People that are registered, certified gun owners that have training, they're some of the most polite, respectful, conscientious people that you can ever meet. So I think this is good. I think we should be able to carry guns everywhere. Everywhere. Should be no restrictions at all. You know why? Because crime happens everywhere. That's why. Crime happens everywhere. Crime happens in the hospitals. Crime happens in libraries. Crime happens in parks. It happens when you're driving along in your car. criminals are everywhere, and you're subject to potentially being a victim of a crime anytime during the day. So why shouldn't you be able to be armed and protect yourself at any time during the day? Just makes sense to me. So let's stand behind House Bill 436 and make calls to the legislature. Again, leg.mt.gov. leg.mt.gov is the place to go to get involved, and I would encourage you to do so. Okay, this is now if you remember this, and I just have a chance to review these quickly before the show because there's so many bills that go through. An act generally revising laws related to firearms, weapons, and accessories, providing that during declared emergency, the state may not confiscate, prohibit, or regulate firearms, components, accessories, or other weapons, providing businesses related to firearms or weapons may not be restricted, providing exemptions. Okay, so do you remember what happened back in New Orleans, back when Hurricane Katrina hit? The mayor of New Orleans, and there was videos of them going into one of them was particularly like an old woman. She's got to be in her 70s. And they physically manhandled her to get her firearms away. The mayor of, I believe it was the mayor of New Orleans, stated that he was going to confiscate all firearms. And I think they went door to door trying to do so. Think about that. In a time of emergency, when criminals were running the streets, looting and robbing people and taking advantage as criminals do, right? Never let a crisis go to waste, spoken by arguably, in my opinion, one of the biggest criminals in the country. You understand that that's how these people operate. Never let a good crisis go to waste. That same mentality. Oh, you mean floods came in and police are tied up and people don't have any way to defend their homes? Yeah, they're going to take advantage of that because that's what crooks do. So this, and I think he's a crook. This mayor at the time, I remember what his name now, but I think he went through and disarmed everybody in New Orleans, or tried to, went door to door and doing that. Well, this legislation would stop that from happening here in Montana. I mean, think about it. When do you need your firearm more? I mean, when you're in an emergency, when there's mayhem, when everything's off the rails. That's the last time. That's the last point in time that you need to be disarmed. So, this is the next one. This is the food bill, but this is and we're going to talk about the food bill next. But this is the firearm bill. So, providing. So you cannot revise laws during a declared emergency, meaning whatever laws you have in your state, your freedom to carry. Right now, we have a permitless carry that just got signed. So we have you can carry anytime here now. It's permitless carry. You just carry your firearm. They can't change that. They can't, during an emergency, say, okay, well, you know what the legislator voted for? Yeah, it doesn't count now, okay, because we're in an emergency. Nope, those shenanigans aren't going to play anymore here in Montana if this bill passes. House Bill 504. Okay, let's cover the last one here. I was going to cover the federal ones, but I'm just not going to. I don't have time. I got so much going on here today. Pardon me. This is Senate Bill 199. Senate Bill 199. And as you can see, this has been introduced by a whole bunch of people. Meaning, again, that probably falls under the topic of being a very strongly constitutional and citizen-oriented type of a bill. So we're gonna look at this. This is the Senate Bill 199, an act providing for the Montana Local Food Choice Act, exempting certain homemade food producers from food licensure, permitting certification, packaging, labeling, and inspection regulation, as well as certain other standards and requirements, providing exception to certain requirements. Again, this is to take the draconian oversight of some of these government organizations that pretty much you can't do anything. They permit you out of business. You can't do that. You can't do that. You got to have this. You got to have that. Got to have this. Got to have that. What does that do? That just keeps throwing money right back into that corrupt system. And what do? They hire more people that make more laws and more restrictions so they can get more money, so they can hire more people and make more laws and more restrictions so they can get more money. You get it, right? You get it. This is how it works. This is the way. This is the cycle. This is the hamster wheel, right? This is the hamster wheel that we're on, and that's what they do. So what we need to do is we need to have less government. We want a government so small we can barely recognize it. Now, here's the thing, folks. We have what's called the free market. If you're making a product that's substandard that nobody wants to eat, then no one's going to buy it, and you're going to probably go out of business. If you create a product that makes someone sick, you're going to be liable for it, and then they'll come after you, and you'll be out of business. I mean, the market has a way of correcting itself. Not right away, right? Sometimes it takes something to happen before that happens, but this is a world we live in. It's a free country, right? We're supposed to be free. If we want to buy a loaf of bread from the guy, three doors down, this is our right. Now, if he produces bread for the neighborhood and makes people sick and they go to hospital, then he's liable. Then he's going to probably be in some big trouble. And that's how that stuff works out. We don't need the government to come in and approve everything or make sure that you're never going to make everybody safe all the time. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. If you leave your house, right, and you don't even have to leave your house, you can easily, in fact, probably many people do, get injured or die in your own residence. I'm sure that happens a lot. I'm not talking about people heart attack in their sleep or they have a stroke. I'm not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about accidents. I'm talking falling downstairs, falling, hitting your head on the counter. I don't know. People get electrocuted with a short for their coffee maker. I mean, there's all different kinds of perils, even in your own home. But you're never going to be able to protect everybody, ever. The government can't protect you from everything. Practically nothing. You have to take that in your own hands. So I am 100% for smaller government and getting the government out of most everything. Let's let them be involved in what the Constitution states that they should be involved in. Anything else, we need to eliminate the government's role and participation in those, whether it be state or local, or federal, I should say. That's all we got for today. If you want to support this broadcast, you can go to MontanaGazetteRadio.com, MontanaGazetteRadio.com, or if you want to check out the number one news website in Montana, you can go to MontanaDailyGazette.com, MontanaDailyGazette.com, or the flagship Northwest Liberty News. We appreciate you looking in. There'll be no show tomorrow. I will not be in town, but I may come back and do a wrap-up show this weekend. Please support this channel. Please share the video and hit the like button. We do appreciate that. Thanks so much for looking in. Get involved, folks. You have an opportunity to show up at your legislature if they're in session right now and make a difference and make a change. The crooks are not going to change things in your favor. They're not going to do it, right? You have to be the one to act, and I encourage you to do so. Again, thanks so much for looking in. I'm your host, James White. Until next time, this is James White for Montana Gazette Radio, saying bye now.